In a world filled with endless noise, where every voice strives to be the loudest, what true power can be found in silence? This is a tale of two sisters, two princesses born under the same starlit sky, one whose voice could fill kingdoms, and another whose silence held the world's greatest secrets. A long, long time ago, in a kingdom cradled by misty mountains and veiled in ancient forests, two princesses were born. The first, Princess Teresa, arrived with a cry that echoed with pride and power. From her first words, her voice was a beacon, a cascade of laughter and commands that danced through the palace corridors. She spoke with grace, and her words were filled with the confidence of a future queen. Her younger sister, Princess Hannah, was born into a world of quiet. She didn't cry, she didn't speak. Her silence was a deep, calm pool in the middle of the bustling castle. The king and queen, who celebrated Teresa's every word, grew worried. Doctors and wise women were summoned, but none could explain why the younger princess remained so silent. As they grew, Teresa blossomed in the court, her voice a symbol of her family's strength. But Hannah found her solace elsewhere. While others filled the halls with chatter, she would slip away into the royal gardens and the deep woods beyond. There, she discovered her secret. She couldn't speak to people, but she could hear what no one else could, the whispers of nature. She could feel the vibrations of the earth, understand the rustling of the leaves, and hear the silent songs of the river. The trees, the birds, the very wind became her companions. But in recent times, the whispers she heard were not of peace. A deep, uncomfortable sigh echoed from the heart of the forest, a plea for help that only she could understand. Hannah knew she had to find its source. Her family, caught up in their own world, dismissed her silent mornings as childish fantasies. "Voices from the woods?" her mother said with a tired smile. "Oh, darling, you are simply bored." Determined, Hannah donned a simple cloak and with a lantern in hand, ventured into the woods alone one night. She followed the sorrowful whispers deeper into a part of the forest her feet had never touched. The air grew cold, and the wind carried a chilling message. "They burn, they twist, they whisper lies." Finally, she arrived at a hidden glade. There, on a floating island under the moonlight, stood an enormous ancient tree. Its trunk bore the face of a serene woman with long, flowing hair of leaves and moss. It was the Rootkeeper, the mythical protector of the kingdom, a being Hannah had only read about in books. Pride, greed, and fear, the voice resonated, not in Hannah's ears, but in her soul. Flames hidden in the palace shadows. They are poisoning the kingdom from within. The Rootkeeper shivered, and 3 shimmering leaves fell to the ground. One was a fiery red, one a jealous green, and the last a fearful deep blue. As Hannah touched them, they transformed into glowing gems in her palm. The Rootkeeper's voice echoed one last time. "Flames that hide must be seen. Sins that cling must be freed. A reflection of the false shall burn the leaf." Hannah understood. She had to expose the 3 silent sins that were rotting the kingdom. The next day, Hannah entered the royal council chambers. She walked toward Sir Lancelot, a knight whose ambition for war was masked by words of loyalty. As she held out the red leaf, it flared brightly, showing a reflection of his true prideful thoughts. "Peace is for losers. This is my chance to show my supremacy." His inner voice boomed for all to hear. The council stared in shock. Sir Lancelot, exposed and shamed, was dismissed. The first sin was revealed. That night, following a foul aroma of excess, Hannah found the nobles feasting in a hidden amphitheater, hoarding food while the people in the villages were starving. She held up the green leaf. The walls of the amphitheater crumbled, magically teleporting the entire feast into the middle of a hungry village street. The nobles, surrounded by the starving faces they had ignored, were exposed for their greed. The second sin was revealed. Finally, Hannah returned to the royal council. The members who had remained silent out of fear now sat trembling. She held out the blue leaf. It pulsed with a soft, sad light, reflecting the face of a councilwoman who knew the truth all along, but was too afraid to speak. "The last advisor who spoke against you lost his rank," she confessed in a tearful whisper. Fear, the sin of inaction, was finally brought into the light. The queen, her own ego preventing her from seeing the truth, was appalled at what had been happening under her nose. Defeated, the corrupt nobles and council members gathered before the Rootkeeper. For the first time, Teresa, the talkative princess, stood silent, finally hearing her sister's truth not through words, but through her brave actions. She gently took off her own tiara and placed it on Hannah's head. "I will lead," she said softly, "but with your voice in my heart." It wasn't just silence that saved the kingdom, nor was it words that ruled it, but the harmony between them. Together, they proved that true power lies not only in a loud voice, but in a quiet heart that listens. For more tales that whisper truths and soothe the soul, subscribe to Snooze Tales, and let the next story begin.